Have you ever wondered what it's really like to renovate a house? I mean, come on. Design shows make this stuff look so super easy, right? Well, if you've ever asked yourself, what does it really take? This web series is for you. That's why we're documenting our process. In the first 3 episodes, you saw our house hunt, you saw us design the floor plan for the house, and of course you saw demo day, which, by the way, thank you so much for letting my kids take over the show last week. I think they did a fantastic job. I hear they were so good they probably need their own spin-off series, but I digress. Let's get back into the business of renovating this house and putting our Humpty Dumpty back together again. Let's go. Here's the thing about demo and the first stages of getting the house back together. It is ugly. There is nothing pretty about seeing a house ripped apart. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I love to share carefully curated, beautiful images of things that either inspire me or projects that we've worked on with our clients. Most days my Instagram feed is really beautiful and colorful and bright. But you probably have figured out you haven't seen very many pictures of the house yet on Instagram, and there's a reason for that. There has been nothing pretty to share about tearing up this house. Now, in Instagram stories, we're showing you the good, the bad, and the ugly. But on our feed, you'll begin to see more of this house as we bring in some of the elements that really take it to the next level. Here are some of the things that happened between demo before your walls are drywalled.
After demo, they took all the trash. There's still some trash there, so if you're wondering.
We finished round 1 of demolition, which basically took out all the floors, opened up the walls we needed to open up, made sure plumbing was where we thought it should be, and if it wasn't, adjusted our plan accordingly, and then pivoted to round 2 of demo, which was the removal of that big cypress beam in the kitchen.
They had to put in new support beams before they could take out the old one, or else the top floor would just fall down and then the house would be messed up.
As they replaced that big wooden beam with laminate beams to add support, we realized we had to build out about 20 inches next to the staircase to provide additional support for those laminate beams, and that bump out wall in the living room required us to expand the size of that pantry servery another 20 inches as well. So you'll see that our pantry got bigger, which means our kitchen got a little bit smaller, and while demo and reconstruction was happening, I had to kind of go back to the drawing board, adjust and tweak some of our drawings, bring it back, and make sure that we were all on the same page regarding how we were moving forward with the house.
Now the kitchen looked a lot bigger.
The next thing was to address the windows. 90% of the windows, I'm not even joking, 90% of the windows were rotted when we bought this house.
You gotta be kidding me.
And so when we had the opportunity, this is what I'm gonna call it, an opportunity, to replace every single window in this house, I chose to go with aluminum clad windows with a black finish. You can probably imagine that replacing the windows and the brick was not an inexpensive part of this project.
I was floored by the cost of the new windows.
I will tell you, the day that they arrived, it was pretty exciting to be there on site and to see all of the guys walking these big windows in, to see them actually put the windows into their headers and frames. And although I love the way those windows turned out, I think they are beautiful. Am I really happy with how much they took away from my design budget? Probably not. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You have to have a plan, you have to have a budget, and you also have to have contingencies for things just like this. They are painful, but you gotta make the investment on the front end, and you gotta do it right, because if you start off cheaping out, you're gonna end up with a cheap looking house. We've had comments from neighbors already about how beautiful the new windows look. I think the kids probably are impressed too.
I didn't even notice.
I didn't even notice. Is it in the kitchen?
That's the only place the new window is? I didn't even know.
From an exterior standpoint, because I knew that we were adding windows some places, taking windows away other places, I did not want to have to stress about perfectly matching the brick. So I made the decision very early on that we would paint the exterior brick of our house. Now, I did not do this because it happens to be the trend of the day. I do believe that there's a timeless quality to painted brick. However, the reason I chose to paint the brick was actually very strategic. I wanted to be able to get whatever brick was available to finish out the surrounding areas of those windows, and then I didn't have to worry about what it looked like because I knew I was painting them to all look consistent as well. So I want you to notice that that decision, even though painting the brick is going to be one of the very last things we do in this house, actually that decision had been made even before demo started. It was one of the things that allowed us the freedom to add in windows, change window sizes, and take away windows in other areas. The other interesting and probably most compelling part of this house for me was really making sure that we put together this laundry room, mudroom space as well. Because we had decided to open up these spaces and really were transitioning half of this now large room from an exterior space into an interior space, there were a couple things we had to consider. We had to consider framing, we had to add insulation, we had to think about the placement of outlets and switches, and we had to also make sure that we were getting heating and cooling to this space. You have to prepare for your insulation team to come in and insulate any new walls, especially if they're exterior walls. You have to make sure, like if we were replacing every single window in the house, which we did, all of those windows had to be insulated as well. And all of that had to happen before we had our drywallers come in. Things like this change with the laundry room made it essential for us to have conversations very early on about HVAC. Did we have the power and the unit sizes that we needed to heat and cool the expanding square footage of this house? So electrical and plumbing rough work happens. You've got to have your plumber come in because he's got to look at where plumbing is placed, and you have to know whether you're moving plumbing around so that he can make sure that he roughs in pieces where they need to be roughed in. We actually had a lighting plan in place. We knew what our fixtures were going to be so that when he went to put in boxes for electrical work, we actually were able to have all of that done before drywall began. So when you see pictures of this house in progress, you'll notice that we've got placeholders for our outlets, our switches, our light fixtures, our plumbing fixtures. All of those things happened before we drywalled the space. So I know, I just blew your mind with everything that happens right after demo before you really get into adding some of those materials and finishes that we're going to talk about in the next video. But I think it's super important for you to see the reality and to see how ugly it gets before it becomes beautiful. So knowing exactly where you want your house to wind up is probably the best tip I can give you for today's video. I know it's not fun and exciting to think about, sitting down pen to paper and really getting clarity around where you want your house to be in terms of how it looks and what changes you're going to make. But I promise you the time you're going to spend to do that is so worth it, because then you've got a compass. Then you've got a guidepost to tell you what design decisions you're making and why they make sense in the big picture of your house. I've got to point out, I can only give you so much in these videos. I mean, if I try to tell you everything that happened with this project, we'd be here forever. But what I've done for you is I have supplemented and added in a lot more information than I can give you on a video in the blog posts that are attached to each of these videos. So if you look down below where it's more information on this video, you'll see a link to not only the blog post for this particular topic, but for all of the other topics that we've been talking about with this home renovation series. See you next time.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and comment down below. And please like this video.
And share it with everybody you know.
We're going to try to do less than 13 takes this time. And maybe if I get good grades this summer, I'll have a YouTube channel. Me and Sebastian will have a YouTube channel.
Very cringy. You copying me, boy?
No.
Okay.